Myself, Murli. I'm working in HCL. Basically, I'm working on an UI side. This is I'm new to the React. I want to know more about the React.
Hi everyone, I'm Prashant here. I'm working in backend because it's building the customer support. I don't know about the React and the algorithm. Just I'm here to explore what are the things, what are they doing. I need to know the question.
Hi, my name is Srijit. I'm working at Niyati Technologies as an Android developer. So I wanted to also learn iOS development. So I think learning React Native will be easy to creating apps for both.
Yes.
So I'm a beginner, so I wanted to learn that. That's it.
Hi, good morning to all. I'm Swadhinam, working at Siam Company, an Android developer. I'm new to React Native.
Hi, I'm Surya Prakash, currently working in Trin Labs. Currently we are working on a project in React with Reflex framework.
This is Shivanantham, working in Trin Labs. So I'm just started with React. So into learning about React.
We'll get everybody, we'll get you in Remus too. So maybe let's say, you just pass on the
Hi, I'm Karthik. I'm a fresher. I'm also a PHP developer, beginner in React Native.
Hi, my name is Abhinand. I'm actually a .NET Windows desktop developer working for a cash software startup. But I'm interested in pursuing this as a hobby to start sitting on my own for iOS and Android. So I thought this would be really useful to start with.
So Akilan is one of the speakers. So I guess the speakers will introduce themselves as we move forward. So great to have all of you here. So hopefully there's more people coming.
This is Anand here from TCS, working as a channels architect, more into mobility and hybrid omni-channel, and then cloud and application. So more of an end-to-end architect.
Okay, very cool. Nice to have you here. There's a couple people. So we're trying to record this, trying to do this in a new way. We're experimenting with, shooting videos with phones. So we're going to put these videos up on YouTube and so on. So hopefully it'll turn out right to find out with phone systems. So it's good.
I'm Thiaga. We are working in Market Sulfide, the next building here.
Okay.
My name is Arun, working in Market Sulfide.
Okay, nice to have you guys. So you should get more of the folks from your office over. So you're just next door. So another time otherwise. The first topic, the speaker is Danny. He's a colleague of mine, and he's going to talk today about React, building React Native apps with Angular. It's a bit of a strange topic, so I was kind of in two minds whether we should allow people to talk about Angular in a React Native meetup, but catching on. So they both, let's say React is from Facebook, Angular is Google's baby, and so they compete with each other, but on some levels they're sort of complementary and you can use them together as well. So Danny is going to talk about that. Just a quick administrative note, we've got some coffee and cookies and stuff in that little room there, so feel free to help yourselves. Also, Danny, should you be on that side of the table? You're going to have your back to it.
My name is Danny Akash. I'm working as a React Native based mobile application developer in Red Black Sea. Actually, this is my 5th month in using React Native. And before that, I was working as a JavaScript developer. I do both front-end and back-end in JavaScript. I use Node.js. And for the front-end, I have been using for the front-end purposes, I have been using React Web. And so, last time I took up a session on navigation in React Native. I took up the session because I felt navigation will be little tough for the people who are coming from the website, who have used React Web, and it will be easier for them if they'll learn how navigation takes place in React Native. Okay, so today, as Shambu said, a strange topic. There's a reason why I picked React Native apps with Angular, because this is still an experimental technology. This is not production ready, and currently the development is halted because Angular 4 is coming in. Still, the reason I picked it up is there are people considering React Native as a platform to their frameworks. How many of you here have worked with Angular 2? Okay, so there are 3 people who have worked with Angular 2, and you guys probably try to use Angular 2 on mobile-based services. Have you considered Angular 2 as using in your mobile app development? Any of you? Okay, which platform did you choose?
Angular 2.
Angular 2 as mobile platform.
Yeah.
Which platform did you prefer?
NativeScript?
Yeah, NativeScript, yeah. Actually, NativeScript provides a great option for creating native apps with Angular 2. So, what React Native does, possibly Angular 2 was created with a plan that it should be a single framework and should be able to, people using Angular 2 should be able to build apps for both mobile and the desktop, and also for the native mobile application and native desktop application. One framework to rule them all. So what they did was they built a very excellent framework which separates the view layer from the business logic and modularized everything. Then for moving to the mobile part, they actually started relying on different platforms. Currently there are lots of platforms available. First of them is Electron. Electron, you can actually use them to build native web application into a desktop app. And for the Ionic part, you can build your app with normal HTML and CSS and use your platform's web view. If you are using Android and iOS, you can use the web view and convert your website into a mobile app. Then there is NativeScript. Like he said, NativeScript actually provides a good platform for building truly native mobile apps with Angular, TypeScript and normal JavaScript. Then there comes React Native. Actually, this concept was pitched in last April 2016 by one of the core team members of Angular. Why don't we use React Native as a platform for building Angular applications? So, generally in React Native, what are the building blocks of React Native are? There will be a native bridge, and the native bridge interfaces the React JavaScript code which you write to the native application side. So at the end of the day, it's just plain old JavaScript which is interfaced with the native code. So what the people thought was they can actually interface the JavaScript TypeScript code to the native applications. So it actually turned out pretty well, applying React Native as a platform. They started interfacing few of the React Native components with AngularJS, and the APIs turned out well. Wait, I'll show the architecture. So this is how.
Will you share about the difference of NativeScript and React Native?
No, we aren't going to discuss about the difference. I'm just introducing how people are considering React Native as a platform. Okay, so this is the native side of the app. You have the platform-specific APIs, platform-specific UI components, along with the UI thread and shadow thread. There, all the native operations take place, and this is the bridge. What bridge does is it connects the JavaScript code with the native APIs. So you have the JavaScript side, which has the Angular 2 core and application. What it has is it has complete bundled files of the Angular in a single JavaScript file, and there will be a React Native renderer. This is where Google's effort comes in. They actually build a React Native renderer which acts as a bridge to the JS APIs provided by Facebook. So what they did is they put another layer over normal React application, and they use they compile down everything into a single JS thread, and they connected with the bridge. So what Angular 2 app will be like, you will have all the TypeScript files, and the TypeScript files will get compiled into JavaScript files, which will in turn get compiled to your React Native application. Okay, so far how many of you guys have tried out TypeScript? Probably all the Angular developers would have tried it. Apart from Angular developers, did anyone wanted to try TypeScript? Okay, TypeScript is nothing. It's just JavaScript with static type checking. So I can show you a good example. Okay, so this is the normal JavaScript. All the return types of the function, the parameter types, and also what function definitions. Nowadays, JavaScript files come with their own types and definition files. It's easier for the developers to understand what a function is gonna do and what are the return types it has. That's what makes abstractions explicit. By using TypeScript, you can actually this last three features you will be experiencing with while you are developing. Simple to reason with the code. And last one is the greatest example. It works with all the existing JS NPM modules. Imagine having all these features and need to go and modify all the JS packages if you are using some other language. But in TypeScript, all the JS NPM modules will work normally, and you are free to use whatever JavaScript package you need. So probably we should get into exploring our app. Actually setting up your environment takes some time, so I actually set up it before. So here are the instructions. First, okay, I'll just go through the process. First you need to clone the Angular 2 C repository. Currently, Angular 2 code doesn't have its own command line interface. Angular Web has its command line interface, but Angular 2 is yet to have its own command line interface, given it's still a technology that is in development. And after that, you should install these three modules. You need to install Gulp, React Native CLI, and typing CS Global, and then you need to move on and install all the NPM packages. Then, okay, is it audible? Okay. Then you just need to start up Gulp. When you run Gulp in it, what it does is it scaffolds all your React Native code. So this is the folder structure. Okay, actually in the source folder, you have all these files scaffolded when you clone that Angular C repository. And when you run Gulp in it, it will install all this folder will look familiar for React Native developers because this is where the actual React Native code lies. There will be an iOS folder which contains the Xcode project files, and the Android folder which contains the files needed for building an Android app. This will start up when you run Gulp in it, and then you need to type gulp start.ios. When you run gulp start.ios or start.android, it will spin up the respective emulators and start up your app. So this is actually a simple to-do list app which I built using Angular 2. Let me show you. This is actually one of the biggest advantages when you are using Angular 2. Actually, I have defined my own data type called task. Here I specify the task's priority to be one of these three strings, and a task data type should be having an ID, number, and priority. So once I have defined this task, then I can set up my own task variable which contains an array of all the task data. So here I created a constant called tasks, and this task contains an array of my own data type task. So what a TypeScript does is goes there and checks the types and starts up in the app with this file. Okay. Let me summarize the core development process of Angular 2. In Angular 2, everything is summarized into three parts: modules, components, and services. So the function of module is just a class with an ng module decorator, and there are great ways to organize your application. So what Angular 2 does is you declare a class and extend its functionalities with some other components and other services through providers. Your normal Angular 2 app actually this is the root of my application, index.ios.ts. and this is my root module. So for the index part, I have imported my root module, and in the root module, I have created a basic class hello module which is supposed to bootstrap my entire application. So here I have made some declarations. In declarations, I specified what are all the components my app's gonna use. It's gonna use hello app, which is the actual first page which contains the routers, and it contains my task list component, task detail components, and some of the native modules. These modules are imported time and the providers. So this is the function of a module. It creates a class, it imports all the required, it extends the class with all the required components and providers, and then it makes it available for other use. For example, the forms module, HTTP module, router module, these stuffs are actually some of the existing Angular modules which are extended so that we can use the functions. And then after modules, there are components. Let me quickly show you the structure of the app. This is the home page of the app, hello.ts. Here, what Angular component does is, I declare a class hello app, and I specify a component decorator which injects the templates. The template is a router outlet along with two images. These two images are the two bottom images, React Native and Angular logo. And these router outlet components are generated in dynamic. For example, this is task 1. When you click on the task 1, you get all the priorities for the task 1. And you can delete the tasks and stuff like that. You can actually add a task here. Okay. I'll show you how I did the routing parts.
Routing, we go with the React Native router?
No. The good thing about Angular app is that we can use Angular's inbuilt router component itself. Actually, that router component is quite easier compared to React's routing components. This is the app routing module. Here, it will be similar to Angular's default router, except that for the path I define a component, and that component is identified back through that component will be rendered back, but it currently doesn't support any animations. Currently, React Native default navigator has some of the animations API, but Angular doesn't support any animations yet. So whenever you call a component, it will be static transition. It will be like rewriting the entire page. And in the component, there will be a key property called host. What the host does is, it scaffolds the entire screen. It says push and absolute, top 0. So if you comment out this host, what it does is the screen actually blocks down. The screen can't access its full screen. This is currently a workaround for accessing the complete screen size of the mobile app. Hopefully this will change soon as the React Native renderer grows up. So here are the template is nothing but the React Native's view components. Actually, people who have used React Native know you can use your view, text and normal components like that, but you don't have to import these components because Angular handles this stuff in the backend. So when these files get converted to the respective JavaScript files, they will be imported from there itself. And for specifying variables, usually in React Native you give style sheet. and use some mustache like brackets to specify the variables, but in Angular 2 you specify these properties in square brackets, and in Angular 2 you specify the properties in square brackets and just declare the variables like a normal string. And in the styles, you specify the styles inside a constructor. The primary use of constructor in Angular 2 component is you can get the services, specify what all the components it will need, and then you can initialize with some of the variables. So I have initialized the styles inside the constructor, and what it does is it totally converted all the task list component into its respective JS component. Here I will show you. And this will trigger the delete task function. I have written the delete task function in the task service. What it does is it gets the task array and removes the item based on its index. So if I am deleting the second task, it will pass out the list index 2, and Angular 2 will delete the second element in the array. Now for the routing part. In the text component, actually what I did was I created a function called router link. This is an Angular 2 component which actually creates a route. Generally in Angular 2, the browsers, you will see the URLs, right? What it does, it calls the URL /details along with the list index. In the next /details /1/2, something like that. It will form an URL. By passing this URL to the router link, it will automatically call the app, look up the app routing module. Here I have specified if user gets to the details with a variable ID, just giving the component task details. So by clicking on task list component, I actually get the details about the task 1. I will show you the task details component. Task details component is a simple one. Here I have an input directive which tells Angular that this variable task gets changed based on some of the user input. So whenever change direction in Angular 2 runs, it will automatically check if this variable is changed or not. So in the constructor, I have specified a lot of private variables. This indicates Angular that this component needs all of these services. First it needs the task service, and these are all routing functions, location, strategy, location, and things like this are actually Angular 2's routing functions. Then it will get into the onInit functionality. Now since task details component came in, it will check its onInit function and it will subscribe to the parameters. In the route I have passed a parameter ID. Then I initialized a task variable here which is based on input, and the task function here calls the task service and tells it to get the task in ID, the value you passed in the parameter. Here the task service get task, I am just returning the task which is present in second value. Now I have clicked task 1, it automatically passes array index 0, and I just return the task which is in the index 0. Then I simply print out the task's name here and the task's priority. Now task 1 is a high priority, I just prints out priority high. Then for going back, we have this back icon here, same opacity feedback and tab. I am calling a function called go back. For going back, Angular's router module has its set of functions. There is location strategy. I just click back, it actually automatically pops back to the most recent location. So clicking back gets you to the home page of the app. This kind of development will be easier for Angular 2 developers. People who are familiar with Angular will know these are all some of the common functions they have been using in the browser for a long time now.
You can use hot rate.
Which
Auto
one?
reloading?
No, the sad thing about this, it doesn't support hot reloading yet.
For Angular 2?
React Native supports hot reloading. For Angular 2, it's not yet supporting it yet. The development of Angular 2 render is currently halted. They are halted it because major upgrade for Angular is coming in. Angular 4 is coming in. Okay, don't laugh. Angular 4 is just an incremental upgrade. It's not going to be an upgrade like Angular 1 to 2. People who are familiar with Angular 2 can easily switch to Angular 4. The main reason why they are going for Angular 4 is Angular router is on version 3. Okay, and Angular is on version 2, and many of its components are in version 3, 2.5, something like that. So they are going to unify all these version numbers. So they are switching directly to Angular 4. So it's going to be a regular upgrade for Angular developers, and as soon as Angular 4 is released, we can expect some activity from the Angular React Native render component of the Angular. So probably that's all, guys. The main purpose of this topic is to show you that how people are considering their frameworks to have React Native as a platform. So that's it from my side. If you guys have any doubt, then I'm open for questions.
Class with, instead of using style sheet, can we not use ng class or something like that?
No, it doesn't support ng class. I actually checked it when I started development. What React Native Styles does is, React Native Styles are using some package called Yoga. Facebook actually built Yoga as a cross-platform layout engine, and React Native Styles depend on that Yoga. So you can't use Angular's ng class functionalities like that. Okay, any others? Yeah, just ask me some general questions about React Native.
In your application, you used services.
Yeah.
Why you used it? You can generally write the function and get all tasks in the same component.
Okay, that's a good question, because that function will be useful if I am using the tasks variable in a single component. But I am using the same task variable in multiple components, right? So this is like that. For what you said was suitable if you are going to use single component. For if you are going to use multiple components, your application is going to scale, it's going to grow big. You definitely need a central store. From a service, you have a central task variable and let the components share the variable. If you make a change in component 2, it will be reflected in component 1 and 3. Other components will get the update easily. So that's the reason why you need to use services.
I think only Angular 2 is there. That is React Native. I didn't find, because whatever you showed me is, I'm very familiar with Angular 2. So
yeah, it will be a lot familiar with Angular 2. What's React Native part is these style sheets, right?
Yeah.
In these style sheets, if you look, it has stylesheet.create function. Okay, so this is one of the React Native's component, and in the view layer, instead of HTMLs, you have image and view tags, XML tags.
Yeah.
This is also a React Native.
So you shouldn't use the normal IMG or
You can't use it.
You can't use it.
Yeah, those HTML tags are supported by WebView, not in the native Vue components.
See, how this is handled is like they encapsulate it and give an abstract for you. On the compiler process, they may transfer that to a native equivalent. Okay. So they given the equivalent native, but it's in the script is only the script mode is in React or Angular supported version. Okay. But apart from that, in the background, it's got transferred to the native code. Okay. So if you see the image or the view, people who familiarize with iOS, they can understand the view approach. So the same way they implemented the view also. So we cannot bring in div, those kind of stuff.
So we can create custom elements also, right?
Yeah, of course.
So that is
similar to how you write custom elements in Angular 2. There is this selector task list. If you use your task list inside it and specify your component in your root module, it will automatically render your custom elements.
So that part is
it. Your workflow won't be affected.
So the only thing is, if you're using this composition, when the React Native brought into the picture, no more that you can leverage this codes, for web pointer. It is purely for that.
And it's a good thing because usually in React Native we import all this view and text in all the component pages, but in Angular 2 you don't need to import those stuff. Angular handles that part.
So will this work in Android also or only for?
Yeah, it will work in Android. It will work in Android. Yeah. React Native is made for cross-platform development.
In React Native, when you build an APK, what will be happening? Only look for convert the JavaScript in Java or anything else?
Okay, when you run, okay, let me say it like this. React Native has a set of native modules. It's called a native bridge. You won't be using native bridge, you will only be using JavaScript file. What it does is, it concatenates, packages all the JavaScript files into a single file and interfaces with the native bridge. So it will be compiled native code and your compiled JavaScript code all with a single interface. So it will be like your native code is running, native code will be running, it will be getting instructions from the JavaScript file which you have developed, that's all. So it won't turn your JavaScript into native code or something, it's just, it creates an interface within the native code.
Will this work with lazy loading or all those things? Because when we are using Angular 2, lazy loading is really used because we don't, web application will have so many components, right? So that time we are using. Will that be
generally you use lazy loading when there are a lot of data, right? When there are a lot of data, of course you can use lazy loading here. You just need to render these components dynamically. Instead of rendering HTML components dynamically, you render this view and text tags dynamically. That's all. Okay. Anyone else want to ask some questions?
Store, right? So once the store is created, so we have to pass all the data from other components. Like in Angular, React, so any stores like that will be there.
Yeah, Angular has this concept of service, like I told you. If you are gonna develop Angular 2 in React Native, you're probably gonna persist the variables in the service.
Okay.
You're just gonna use async storage and persist those variables and use those variables like your store.
Actually,
of course, you can use Redux. Redux has some packages for Angular 2 I have seen, but generally Angular 2 services are really powerful. You probably won't have the need to use Redux here.
If you want to use Redux, there's a package called NGRX or NG2 Redux is there. You can use it with that. It's fully supported. I have used it with other applications. So again, like similar type, we have this action reducers. It also has extra comments, something like effects where you use for when you're interfacing with the services, right? That will call some HTTP request or something like that. That time you use effects and you combine with RSJs, something like observable patterns, you use it. So basically, if your app is a little bit large complexity, then maybe use NGRX, and it supports this also. For web application, it supports these tools. We use time machine, no? That is also supported.
Time travel debugging.
Time travel debugging is also supported.
So tell me, if you are using Redux and services, won't your app complexity will be high? Generally, in Redux itself, when you want to make a function, you need to edit 3 files at a time. If you are using Redux along with the services, then just how many files you need to maintain for a single functionality?
I think on the whole, like when your application is complexity is like how many services you need. No, the services part will be lesser. There will be no logic in that. Okay. All your logics will be put into your reducers.
Okay.
So whenever you call an action, everything, and something which reducer should be pure function, right?
Okay.
So that whichever affects the state of that will be handled in effects. That's called that's another called effects. So on the whole, like it will be very less. I mean, the services will be very less, and reducers will be more. So that way you handle.
So probably the thing is you call services, but what service does is simply pass on the control to the reducer.
No. You call with an action, you pass it into like reducers. Okay. Reducers, what it does is will call either you can go and with services which if we need, like for example, if you want to make an HTTP request or something like that, then you pass it into services. Otherwise we don't need, right? We can just pure functions, we can just handle it. Like for example, if you want just to modify a certain state, right? Depending upon some functions, right? You put the function in the reducer and just modify that.
Okay, cool.
The problem is we have encapsulated components. If you go for very iterative, more models, more components inside by inside, that is where your services will be start working. That's a need. You need to go for Redux.
Yeah. What will happen is
because I maintain all my states in a singleton pattern, and let's say when I put it all the data for everything in a single object, obviously my search and everything will be slowed down.
Okay, actually
so that is where the reducer will help you. So it will be narrow down your search algorithm. That way this will be faster side. Okay. But services obviously, as you said, for web service integration, those things you can still rely on services. But for component state management, you still go with Redux.
As you said, no, like in Angular 2, you'll be using input or output decorators, right, for passing in through. So, like for let's imagine like we are using that pattern where smart component, dumb components, right? So, let's say we want to change some state of your component, whereas some 10 level deep, right? So what we'll do is that it will just it will be like a bucket where you pass in through.
Because the flow is unidirectional. Yeah. That is the problem. Okay, when you go with components.
Okay, so yes, I haven't built any large applications with Angular 2 yet. Most of the applications I built are with React. React I really rely on Redux.
React also we need because the reason is the communication channel is in the unidirectional side. Let's say I am in the component of the node, the 2 tier in the second level. Okay.
When I need to communicate the thing to the third layer in the right side, think about it. The communication in typical approach with the service or what, it has to go till the top node and has to come from there again. So the reducer is always act like a single channel for communication. You hit in the top, that will communicate directly to here. So he subscribed to that. It's more of PubSub approach almost. It's a combination of PubSub, singleton, as well as reducer. People who may know that the map or concept, the object search algorithm is upgraded. The mapper.
Okay, guys. Probably I should try using NGRX2. Maybe we should have discuss after this. Okay, guess that's all. If anyone else having any questions, probably we can wind up. We can move on to the next session. For the next session.